We are back in the studio, in the lab, but our grooming game has not changed one bit. Make sure that you are getting all around nut care. They have recently been voted #1 by Australia's Men's Health magazine with the pubic hair removal cream. 10% off when you go through theirs and using our code Any Given Sunday. It's a new season. It's the same old crew and it's the same old nut care. Make sure you get around them. Any Given Sunday is the code for 10% off.
Brown 45! Brown 45! Hot, 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 hot!
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the #1 podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, NFL Australia headquarters, Gridiron Australia headquarters, and worldwide, boys. We are trending. We are on the way up. It is an exciting day. It is pretty much we are as close as we're going to be. So we're calling it the start of season 3 of the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast. So huge shout out to us. We've made it to a season 3. The crowd want us back. I can't believe it. We've also got under 100 days until a kickoff. So it's a busy time for us now. We're going to strap in. We'll be in the lab pretty much every week. Huge, exciting times coming for us. Joining us, as always, down in his basement, wherever that may be, at Tim Cardy, AGSAU, TC24.
T-Mac, hello fam, how are we?
Also, in his little wing of his little house, wherever that may be, at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
Oh, it is good to be back.
It is. It really is. And we're going to get straight into it. We have had a few weeks off. Carts, you were off jet setting while me and Danny were working hard down here. But that's all right. You've promised to kick yourself into gear in the next few weeks because we are extremely busy. We've got things in the pipeline. It's always as big as it's going to come. But we're going to go right back. I believe it was about a month ago now, the 2024 draft. We're going to start with the top 5 moments of the 2024 draft. The first one being, and I was lucky enough to be there, Jordan Mailata picking a live draft pick for your Philly Eagles. Danny, we'll start with you, live on the Gold Coast. That was a pretty huge moment.
Oh, it was incredible. I would have loved to have been there with you. It's a shame that I couldn't make it, but it looked like such a good weekend up there for you. And also Jordan was announcing the fact that the NFL Academy is coming to Australia as well. So it was a huge announcement earlier in the day and then going on up to the Gold Coast to make that pick. It was just a very special moment.
Yeah, Carts, did you see like Danny said, the NFL Academy is coming to the Gold Coast? That is an enormous announcement. It'll be starting the end of this year and only getting bigger and bigger. And then did you get to see Jordan making the live pick?
I did, and like as you said, as the game continues to grow in Australia and like the numbers start to grow, just little things like this are just going to make the pathways clearer and better for people. But going to Geordie's video, I was watching very closely. I was just waiting for a little bit of like T-Mac poke his head in on the side or maybe just over his shoulder, just waiting for a little bit of me action. But we didn't see you, unfortunately, in that video. But got some good photos with the big fella. He did make you look like an ant, unfortunately. He's quite a large man, but it looked like a great day, good fun. And it looked like he was, I think you were hanging out with his family at one stage while he was having to do a lot of his press and his commitments and stuff. And as he said, they were all rippers. So sounded like an awesome time for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that photo up. It is on our socials. But yeah, I was on my tippy toes.
Milk all that content as dry as you can, I reckon.
Yeah, I was on my toes in that photo.
On a box, on a chair.
He is an enormous man, but he was so good with his time as well. And for the people that made it up to Burleigh and got to actually meet him, he was so generous and such a real, a man's man, a guy's guy kind of guy. He was so giving for the fans, and he was luckily good enough to sit down with me at the end, and he signed some merch for you, Danny. So you're a happy boy.
Yeah, as you can tell, the jersey's not hanging up here, so we haven't crossed paths. But as soon as it is, we'll get it framed.
T-Mac's holding it ransom. You got to keep coming on the show, Danny, or you don't get it.
It'll be hung up in my background soon.
Yeah.
Just so you know. But it was an awesome day.
Give me a point quickly, Macca. Like, there's obviously been other Aussies come before him, but he's kind of at the tip of the spear of this new wave of momentum, and I think he realises that's why he's so giving. He's a great ambassador for the game, and he's just such a great ambassador for Australia over there as well, vice versa. So yeah, he's an awesome guy by all accounts, according to you. So, no, he's doing really good stuff.
Yeah, just to finish that off, mate, you're not wrong. He was so good. I talked to him. It was probably 3:30. We'd been going since about 7:30 in the morning. And I said, mate, like,
A couple
I
of little
felt bad.
cocktails deep. Do you have a bit of courage?
I had a bit of courage just to go out there. And he's 6'8". He was a big boy.
Yeah.
And just said, mate, like, I feel bad because you've been doing it all day. And he turned around and said, without the fans, I'm a nobody. So he was so happy and so grateful to everyone, and really happy to do everything he could, really. So, yeah, it was great.
Fantastic.
The number 2 moment, I think this one come from me personally, the Atlanta Falcons selecting Michael Penix Jr. with the number 8 pick, despite signing Kirk Cousins to, I think it was a $100 million guaranteed deal only a few weeks earlier. Danny, that is huge.
Yeah, so obviously they're going to give Penix Jr. like the 4 years under Kirk Cousins. It's not uncommon for a rookie QB to sit behind, a veteran and actually, learn the game, because it is a different game from the college ball. We all know that. So to actually sit behind Kirk, and what a great person to learn from. Like, realistically, he's pretty damn consistent. So it's shocking that they got him at pick 8. Sorry, shocking they got him at pick 8. To me, it seemed a bit bit early on in the piece for Atlanta. But I don't hate the fact he's going to sit behind him, continue to build, because he's not the Caleb Williams. He's not going to be starting game 1 of this 2024 season. He will have a few years underneath him to try and build and become an NFL quarterback rather than a college quarterback.
Yeah, I think a lot of the questions too were coming from, obviously they took him early. They've got Kirk signed to that big deal. Were there other pieces potentially that were on the board still that they may have needed? O-line, D-line, other sorts of weapons. I think that's where a lot of the fan base maybe questions and angst have come from. But you can understand, as Danny laid out, the plan there to get him to sit behind. Like, Jordan Love did it with A-Rod, and now obviously he's kind of, I suppose you could say that was a bit of a success, the way that he's played now. So the framework and stuff is definitely there to sit behind a veteran quarterback and learn your craft and that sort of thing. But just the questions coming about, could we have maybe got some other pieces around that were still on the table there? But they made their choice, and we'll see how it pans out. And because Kirk, didn't have a healthy year last year, so there's no guarantees in the not for long. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
And it's Atlanta shoring up their future, really, isn't it? Like, exactly what you're saying, what happened with Green Bay. It was so when the time came that Aaron Rodgers was going to step away, they had someone perfect ready to go. And I think that is going to be their long-term plan. Yeah, they definitely left some, more desirable pieces on the table for Atlanta for now. But as far as them trying to future-proof themselves, so they're not being like how they were the past couple of years, where, they didn't really have that top-tier quarterback to step into that role.
I agree with you, though, Carts. I think a lot of the Atlanta fans will be going, well, we've just signed Kirk Cousins. We're going for now. He's not a long-term QB. So
big money too.
Yeah, big money. So interesting call. Like you said, it's only time will tell whether it actually pays off.
Yeah.
Number 3 moment was a few Australians getting over there. We've seen it in the past few years. We've spoken to one with Maxi Quinn just before the draft. Two lots this year. So Shepmates, who I was lucky enough to meet up Super Bowl weekend.
Super Bowl party, boat party up in Sydney.
Super Bowl party. And a friend of ours, Stephen Rouhani, who's a fiery with us out west. No one knows what that really means. Carts, did you actually get to speak to Steve?
I haven't spoken to him since. I've been waiting. Thought maybe we might hit him up for a quick chat. But yeah, I worked with him out west a little bit. He's obviously on a different platoon. But yeah, obviously a massive super fan. Got over there, got to announce the pick. I thought he did really well too. Like, he spoke really well, played up to the Detroit crowd, and he nailed it.
Yeah, Danny, the Shepmates, they really did play up to, because they went over as part of the Rams pick. So being a Rams fan with, Jared Goff and things like that, they were really playing up to the Detroit fans.
Oh, absolutely. And then why wouldn't you? Like, they were there to make their mark, and I reckon they did.
Absolutely. Number 4, and this is my favourite one to bring up, I think, besides, meeting Jordan. That was pretty awesome. Australians making it in the NFL. So Tory Taylor going pick 122. I spoke to Johnny from our mates at ProKick. He was actually surprised how early he went. He was telling me, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Either way, you'd be stoked. But pick 122. Went to, he's gone to the Bears. So unfortunately, Well, good thing.
He
He'll
might
probably
be
get a lot
punting
of
bit.
views.
He might be doing a bit of punting.
Yeah, but I know Soldier Field's not easy to punt out of. So
No,
tough.
you don't play there every week. It's all good.
No, you're right. Only eight times. But yeah, huge pickup for him. And then also the undrafted free agents, friends of the show, Jotham Russell to the Patriots, and Tommy Yasmin going to the Broncos. Huge, Danny, for us Australians making it over there.
Yeah, the more players that we get on rosters, the better. And it's just we're heading that way, and it's becoming more and more evident every year, every draft. We're making that small dent a little bit bigger.
And I think the cool thing is not just punters now. We're seeing the tight end boys coming in, so it's good seeing that there's some other pathways, not just the punters, which we do excel at and we are elite at as Aussies.
Yeah, that's right. And Jotham being a defensive end as well. So we're really spreading it across the board. But knowing those two boys personally, we'll get Tori on here the show for sure. Don't you worry about that. But knowing those two boys, like such workhorses to get where they are. There's a couple of punters that have made it and been signed, which is huge. So yeah, just the fact that the Aussies are making a huge dent over there. And we're, like you said, Carts, we're making a dent in all the right places as well. So, and lucky number 5 top moment for the draft pick was actually the draft hosted in Detroit. They were huge. Getting Eminem out at the start.
Hell yeah.
And just the whole 3 days, they were absolutely enormous, the crowd. So huge shout out to Detroit. Danny, I know you got to see a fair bit of it.
Oh, yeah, but Detroit just absolutely put on a show. It's definitely not the city that it once was, and, up and coming and transitioning a little bit away from the whole Motor City days, and having Eminem there as the biggest Detroit, icon was perfect.
I think it's cool. Like, I can't remember who was talking about it, but these football cities or things like that don't necessarily have the stadiums or the facilities to host a Super Bowl, to be able to host the draft week, I think is almost like a good close second. They get to put on a really good show. The fans obviously turn out as we've seen. I think, is it in Pittsburgh next?
Nope.
No. Where is it?
It is in the one and only Green Bay next year.
Oh, Green Bay. That's right. Yeah, no, that's right. So, but Pittsburgh is another city that won't host a Super Bowl just because of the stadium. So to be able to host the draft, I think is a good close second. And geez, it's going to be cold up there in Green Bay.
Yeah. Yep. And boys, just on the down low, we're going to be putting pressure on the NFL Australia. We're going to be there. We are going to give a pick for Green Bay for sure.
I thought you announcing just then that it was in Green Bay was you dropping the hint, like, "Hey boys, I've already got my tickets. Got my tickets booked."
Yeah, we know some people. I'll be pressing. No worry about that. Hey, any given Sunday in Green Bay, how can you go wrong?
We are great ambassadors of the game. I mean, come on.
Number one in Australia, Carts. Number one in Australia.
Hang on, you don't want to sound desperate. We pump the brakes. We're just crossing the line.
Now, Carts,
yes.
You did get to go away during your little off-season break into Bali. It doesn't really matter about saying that, does it?
No, I'm back. They can know where
you
I
are
was.
back. You're looking quite tanned as always. You are the beautiful one out of the three of us, which is a shame. But Danny and I, we were boots on the ground. We were working hard. A week after going to the Gold Coast, we're back up in Brisbane. Ballymore Stadium, am I wrong, Danny? I think that's right.
You are correct.
For the national flag competition. Danny, you were the boots on the ground, the sideline reporter, and I was the special comments in the commentary box alongside Kate Allman. It was an absolutely huge couple of days and huge for flag football, mate. How'd you find it up there?
Yeah, just want a massive shout out to Gridiron Australia for getting us up there and getting us involved. We really appreciate it. Wade, I know you're listening because you listen every week. But it was such an incredible experience for us to go, and it's so good for the game. As you're saying, it's one of the fastest growing sports now in the world. We're heading towards the Nationals, and a few of the players that were competing for their state would have actually got picked for the national team while we were there. And yeah, both the Queensland sides for the men and the women's did take out the first national NFL flag competition or gridiron flag for us. But yeah, it's all pushing towards the Olympics, LA 2028 for the flag. Football is actually going to be an Olympic sport, so that's what we're heading towards. The Worlds are going to be next year in Finland, and then we're just heading full steam ahead towards LA 2028. Hopefully, we can be nice and competitive.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate goal out of this weekend, or that weekend. Sorry, it was a couple of weeks ago now. There was a team. I don't know how big for males and females was selected to go to the AIS. They're doing 3 training camps, and like you said, pick for Worlds in Finland next year. and then that's all leading straight into LA 2028. So flag football is on the rise. Carts, did you actually get to see any of us? We don't really know how we went. We were behind the screen the entire time.
I was going to jump in before you moved on. I was lucky enough. I jumped on the live stream, and you boys held yourselves very, very well. You did a really good job up in the commentary box, and Danny working hard down, boots on the ground, interviewing the players and stuff. I thought you guys did an awesome job. You were killing it. I had a personal investment, but it made the coverage really, really good and really fun. So, it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, and meeting a lot of the players, getting down actually, and Danny, you got to meet them more than anyone. You were genuine boots on the ground down there. They were all appreciative. They loved it, and yeah, definitely will be a lot more involved with flag football going forward. I reckon.
Yeah, it was just huge also to see like the cross code of all sports. There was ex-AFL players, NRL players, and people come from all different backgrounds to come together and to play this sport for the opportunity to go to the Olympics, which is just huge. It's like I'm going to keep on saying until 2028, but like what an incredible experience for these people that might be playing a sport that you'd never be able to make it to the Olympics, but now they're jumping over to NFL flag and to be able to have that opportunity to go represent the country.
Yeah, 100%. So not long after the NFL draft, we had the schedule announcement, and we've gone through, and Carts especially, you've picked out some absolute cracking games in the first half of the year, which we get to look forward to. Like I said, we're under 100 days to kick off. And one of the first games to kick off is mine and yours, Danny, in Sao Paulo in Brazil, week 1. Oh. Who's actually hosting? I don't know if it's a Packers or an Eagles home game.
Someone's going to be home. It did say, hang on a second. Let me find it on my doc.
You can find it. I'll talk to it anyway while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Week 1 down in
Maybe
Brazil.
Eagles. Maybe Eagles.
Eagles hosting the Packers, we're going to say. But
in Sao Paulo.
Perfect for us Aussies. It's obviously a green and gold kind of team, kind of game. So, but Danny, I know there's a lot of reasons that we love this game. It's huge. But did you hear the rumour that we're home team or any team's not allowed to wear green?
Yeah, something about that stadium and football, like soccer, being played in that stadium. That their biggest rival or something like that. Had green.
100%. Yeah, that's what I heard. The football, as Cart says.
So
yeah, their biggest rival.
They've over 2 teams whose uniforms incorporate quite a bit of green.
Yeah, and Packers. Like I know the Eagles have got the alternative white. Packers don't really have an alternative. It's green either way.
Yeah, at least the Eagles can be wearing their black, which is an underrated jersey, I'd say.
That's true. They'll come out with something new that will be one of the high-selling jerseys of the year. But anyway, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, huge game though, and I'm actually really excited to kick off the season against you boys. It will be a tight game, and 2 heavyweights to start off the season.
Yeah, it's just the season opener. I'm always nervous for, no matter how well your team does in the off season, or you just really don't know until that first whistle sounds and the 2 sides go head to head. That's really where you get to see if everything you did in the off season was worth it. It all comes out in week 1.
Yeah, I thought it was a no-brainer, obviously, for you 2 knuckleheads going against each other. And just in terms of let's see where Jordan Love's at. Obviously, the Eagles are going to be strong again, so just a good one. And being down in Brazil, Sao Paulo, it's a huge spectacle game, so no-brainer. But that's one of the big ones we want to look at.
100%. A lot of talk about the Packers last year, not just outplaying our expectations, but outplaying their abilities. So whether we come back and we do have that second-year drought or we can kick on and keep going. I know all the Packers fans are quite happy to say that we're going to make the Super Bowl. So
see if that young receiver core just takes it, that next step.
Yeah, 100%. Bills at Dolphins, week 2 Carts. I know you like this one especially.
I do, and it's because it's 2 of the most talked about quarterbacks in the league, and for good reason. They're out-and-out stars, but underperforming arguably after the last few years for, I suppose, the status of where we hold these 2. A lot of people, top 5 quarterbacks in the league, not many people are going to question that. So definitely underperforming the last few years. Always a tough match up, these 2. Early bragging rights is always a massive thing. So one to look forward to in week 2.
It also helps that it's at Miami for this one, because it's at Miami, but it's also early in the season, so it's great for Tua.
Yeah, I reckon that's actually shit for Tua.
I reckon it's worse because it's going to be colder later.
Means it's colder in the Bills
Back in
later on in the
Buffalo.
season.
He's gonna
So,
pop it
This
later.
exact game.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
exact
well,
game is going to benefit
But
him.
I reckon, when he's in New York, in Buffalo, whatever week it may be, I reckon he'd rather flip those around. But week 5, Danny boy, Ravens at the Bengals. Thoughts?
My first thoughts on this is not about the game whatsoever. Have you boys seen the photo of Joe Burrow that's come out?
Oh, no.
He looks like Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith. He's like, Joe Burrow is going to bring balance to the football.
Oh, I need that.
Maxie is very happy seeing the
You need to
long
flash
locks.
that up at this point in the potty, T-Mac.
Oh, it is so good. It is so good. Hopefully Joey B comes out and is a lot more, healthy and consistent than he was last season. And the Ravens, it's going to be there because of how well they did last year. Their schedule is going to be a lot tougher this year. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. So it's just going to be interesting to see where they're at week 5. The Bengals should be coming out nice and strong, but it'll definitely be a hot matchup.
Carts, did you see the photo of Lamar? Dropped like 10, 15 pounds.
No, hadn't seen.
Yeah, he's come out and there's photos.
Looking super jacked at this time of the year, pre-season.
Last year, he was absolutely jacked. After coming off those injuries, this is another perfect time to get the photo out and show it on the thing, but I'm not ready for that. So we're just working our way into season 3, boys. We're working.
We'll get it in later.
But he was absolutely jacked this time last year, coming off injuries. But this time he slimmed up. But having, King Derrick Henry in the backfield, definitely, you don't need to be as big. You just turn around and give it to him.
Maybe he's just been working on all agility, a bit less crash and bash, running through blokes. He's a bit more agile. Obviously, as you said, a bit lighter. Give the ball to D. Henry and, I don't mind it.
That's the best part about having D. Henry. He can be lighter on his feet. Means he'll be able to scramble a whole lot better for those, rather than scrambling to run and just bash through people, but scrambling to pass. It was a way of him expanding his game because Derrick Henry's almost taken part of his game away in the best way possible. So
in a good way, yeah.
Lucky last that you've picked out Cards. Chiefs at 49ers in week 7's a Super Bowl replay.
No brainer. Super Bowl replay. I feel like in the AFL, we do it a lot earlier. So it's like we get it in the first couple of rounds. Week 7, there's a bit of water's gone under the bridge by that point, but just the two teams from the Super Bowl the previous year, you want to see them probably hitting their straps a bit. I didn't actually look when the bye was for each of those teams, but hopefully they're just coming in head full of steam. They've got their systems worked out. They're coming in full strength and just unleash at each other.
Yeah. The Super Bowl was such a great game to watch. So like this in week 7, almost halfway point of the season, you're expecting it to be something similar. And hopefully neither team's too banged up and they can just go out there and compete.
Yeah.
100%. Now, I've just put in this little line at the end as well because we're going to throw to you in a second, Cards, about why you've only picked the first 7 weeks. Week 18 being entirely divisional games. I love that. It doesn't always work out, but the fact that they've been able to do that this year, the last game of the season, every team, there's going to be divisions on the line. So the fact that they've been able to work it, that there's divisional games across the board, I love it.
Oh, I love it. And the fact they've got it week 18, it almost it drums up a bit more excitement before leading into playoffs because we know there's going to be teams playing for a playoff chance and there's going to be lots on the line. So the fact that it's then divisional games as well, it just adds so much extra spice to it. So that's really well done by the NFL scheduling team there, I reckon.
Yeah.
Great script writing.
Yeah.
And Carts, so why have you only picked the first 7 weeks, mate?
Well, so I'll put it to you boys as a bit of a bold statement, but I reckon, and even the games we've picked, it could all be absolute bullshit. So looking at them on paper, it's this looks good. But lo and behold, someone's going to shit the bed and they're not going to be as good as maybe what we thought they'd be. Some of the shitter games that we probably just breezed over could be absolute blockbusters, just depending how teams are going. So by week 7, we kind of know who's who in the zoo, who's looking the goods, who's fake, who's real, and that sort of thing. So beyond week 7, from this point now, I reckon it's hard to pick those big blockbuster games. So we plucked a few out for pre-week 7, but even then, every one of those could turn out to be a fizzer, and we look like we've got egg on our faces. But that's my sort of bold statement for the week is anyone that's picking big games after week 7, it's all just rubbish.
You've gone early. No, you're right. We just go back to last year. The entire year was based on Aaron Rodgers coming back for the Jets. 4 plays in. The Jets are cooked for the rest of the year. So you're 100% smart cricket, really.
And just a little bit more, I suppose, evidence to my argument. Look at all the the Amazon games on Amazon, you think scheduling standalone games, they're going to actively try and give them good games. How many of those games turned out to be absolute snooze fests and almost hard to watch? And Amazon don't want that, but again, it's just hard to predict that far out. So there's just a little bit more evidence for my argument, I think.
All right, Danny, we're going to throw it over to you, mate. You've picked some absolute classic games. This does not matter about who's on the field because they're the top revenge games that you've come across out of the schedule, mate. Do you want me to go through them or you want to go through them?
You start. And
I'll throw them to you, mate, and you tell us why they're awesome. So the number one you've picked, we've just talked about it, the Chiefs at the 49ers, mate, week 7.
Yeah, we've already touched on that. Super Bowl rematch, you know it's going to be big. 49ers got to come out hard and take it back from the Chiefs. Just proves that they can do it.
Ooh.
Yeah. The second one, Steelers at the Broncos in week 2.
This one's obviously massive for big reason. Russell Wilson's coming back, which is crazy to verse the Broncos, despite them still paying him something like 80+ million play for the Steelers. Steelers got him dirt cheap. So it's a big revenge game for Russell Wilson really to come out and just, beat his old team. But it'll be interesting to see if he can.
Flash that revenge bod, Russ, I reckon. That would actually be funny for how much shit he copped the couple of years at the Broncos. Kind of be cool to see him go well at the Steelers, I reckon.
Yeah.
And number 3, big games, Ravens at the Chargers in week 12.
Yeah, so this is the Harbaugh Bowl, really. So it's the two brothers back at it again. I think, was it last time that they played each other in the NFL was the Super Bowl?
I think so.
Where the Ravens took down the 49ers. So which is pretty crazy. So it's going to be a big game for both Jim and John to go head to head. The Chargers at the Ravens, the Ravens at the Chargers. It's just going to be a high octane game, I reckon. Yes, it's in week 12, so we don't really know how both those teams are going to be sitting. But just for the fact that the two brothers playing together, and last time they played was in that Super Bowl, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure riding on this game.
Yeah,
100%. And Danny, you've put a nice little from our schedule just to wrap this up nicely. A couple of winners and a loser from the schedule. I'll go through it and you tell me why they are winners and losers, mate. The first one is Caleb Williams. So why is he a winner or a loser?
He is a winner because Chicago doing so bad last year really benefited him. Obviously, that's how it works, and they get a higher pick, rah, rah, rah. But Chicago's first 10 games, they're playing some of the easiest games in the entire NFL, strength of schedule. So matchups against some rebuilding teams like Arizona and Carolina, stuff like that. It's teams that are kind of doing what the Bears are doing as well. So there should be an easy game for him to find his feet. He's not going up against those top contenders. So to me, for him to prove that he was deserving of that number 1 pick, he's got the opportunity to do that and therefore makes him a winner.
Your Eagles, number 2, are they winners or losers?
I'm always going to say they're a winner. They're always a winner to me in my eyes. But after last year, we had such a struggle. The offensive coordinator probably wasn't in the right spot. The team, you could tell we were just lost. But because of us not doing so well last year, we've got a little bit more of an easier schedule coming forward. And we get to finish with 4 of the 5 final games at home, which is a great way to end it, especially
that's huge. That is massive for the run home.
Yeah.
And lucky last, if we've gone 2 winners, I'm probably going to put my money on the fact that this might be not a winner. The Ravens, mate, are they winners or losers?
Unfortunately, the Ravens are a big loser in the scheduling. They've because of doing so well last year, but not getting it all done. Now they've drawn some real contenders. So they've got the Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, and Cowboys just in the first 5 weeks alone. And then their bye doesn't come until week 14, which is in the middle of December.
Oh,
that is a long time.
That's a long stretch. Yeah.
Well done, boys. That is the end of we've run long on time for myself personally, unfortunately. Great start to the season. Season 3 is underway. I love it, boys. We are back. Like we said, we're going to be back every week doing this kind of stuff again. So dust it off. Season 3 begins now, boys.
Fill it up again. Season 3, tell your friends.
Let's go.
All right, boys. See you later.
See you, mate.